Thank you for joining us. It's a very difficult time of the year.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
End of the year is a special time because we're spending time with our loved ones, but there are maybe some who cannot.
Yes, due to recent news that has come out, some people are definitely having a hard time,
Sure.
and our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers go out to them. We hope they're getting the support and love that they need during this time.
Yeah, we would like to express our deepest condolences to anyone who's lost a loved one during this time. Okay, today we are actually talking about tourism, over-tourism, the fight against over-tourism. And the subtitle is, They Won't Put Up With It Anymore. So we've been talking about how some tourists have been acting, badly in some places, and it's caused a lot of problems locally. And so let's look at some of the expressions that we're going to cover today. If there is a turning point, what does this mean?
This means that the direction of things is changing.
Yes.
So if things were going good, now they're going bad.
Right.
Or if things were going bad, now they're going good.
Okay, so either way.
Yes.
Okay.
But usually I often hear it going in the positive direction, but I think it can go both ways.
Yes, I agree. Okay, if you refer to someone or something as something, what does this mean?
You are saying, this is what I call them. This is the name I use for them. So I refer to this person as my teacher.
Yeah.
Right? I call them my teacher.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And if you put up with someone or something, to put up with, P-U-T-U-P.
This means that you tolerate them. Often this person is difficult in some way.
Right.
Annoying, making your life somehow hard, having to do extra work.
Right.
And instead of saying anything, you just kind of silently endure.
That's right. You just kind of look the other way and just go on as if nothing happened.
Right.
Okay. All right. Very good. Let's go ahead and listen to our power dialogue today.
Look, this one European city canceled its airport's contract with a discount airline.
It seems to be a turning point for some cities. They're doing what they can to avoid repeating the 2024 tourist season.
I heard it was referred to as the summer of tourists behaving badly.
A lot of cities won't put up with it anymore. One city in Croatia makes tourists pay huge fines for breaking the rules immediately, or they go to jail.
Maybe we should go there next year.
Yeah, there might be fewer bad tourists.
Okay, please join us on page 158. You can find our power dialogue there. The fight against over-tourism, they won't put up with it anymore. They will not endure it anymore. Peter begins by saying, look, this one European city canceled its airport's contract with a discount airline. What does Stephanie say?
It seems to be a turning point for some cities. They're doing what they can to avoid repeating the 2024 tourist season.
Okay, so by canceling an airport contract, it is a turning point. How is this a turning point in this context?
So up until now, the amount of tourists that cities were accepting was going up and up and up and up.
Right.
Right? But now that this contract is canceled, it's a change in direction.
Right.
Now the cities are trying to bring the number of tourists
Down, yeah.
So it's not a huge change, but it is what you might call a significant or symbolic change that shows that the direction is different.
Right.
So it's a turning point.
I think for a long while, it's always been tourists were welcomed in anywhere around the world, providing business for the local economy. But because there's just too many people, that's why it's become more of a burden now for some cities. So it's a turning point.
Yes.
So travel, tourism, there's been a change.
Yes, there has been a change.
All right. Now, here is our power pattern today. They're doing what they can, or we're doing what I can. I'm doing what I can. This is a great pattern. When do we use this?
We use this when we can't do everything, right? We as humans, we as single people, or even as a group, we can't do every single action available.
Right.
There's some things we're good at, some things we're not good at,
Sure.
some things that are illegal, for example. But among the options that we can do, we're doing all of them.
So, you know, a lot of people use the expression, I'm doing the best that I can, or I'm doing my best.
Yes.
And in a way, it's slightly different, but it is kind of letting you know that you are doing everything that you can do
Yes.
to change the situation or make it better.
Right. And there's often the feeling of, yes, you are using all of your ability.
Yes.
Like you're working hard. But there is also the feeling of you're not doing just one thing and focusing only on one idea.
Right.
There are probably a few different things that you're doing at the same time.
Right. Very good point. I like that. So they're doing what they can to avoid repeating the 2024 tourist season. So they're doing this and that and here and there to make, you know, a better season for 2025.
Yes.
Okay. So Peter says, I heard it was referred to as the summer of tourists behaving badly. Okay. So 2024 kind of marks the peak of this over-tourism.
Yes.
Okay? And they were not behaving very well. And this is referred to as, so there was a kind of title.
Right.
Yeah.
So this phrase referred to as, it is often used for a title, often an unofficial title, kind of like a nickname.
Right.
Right? It's not the official name, but it's referred to as. So you know those names, it's like the king of rock and roll.
Yes.
That's Elvis Presley, right?
Sure, right.
So Elvis Presley is referred to as the king of rock and roll.
Right.
That's not an official title he has, but a lot of people call him that.
Okay, very good. So to be referred to as is kind of like another unofficial name.
Yes.
Sometimes it can be endearing, like a very sweet nickname.
Yes.
Or it could just be like another name that seems appropriate for that thing or person.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a good nickname. It can be a bad nickname.
Yes, that's right.
Maybe it's a name that they don't say to the person, but they say behind their back.
Yeah.
So this is just saying, oh, this person has another thing we call them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes the other person may not know. Okay.
Right.
All right. What does Stephanie say?
A lot of cities won't put up with it anymore. One city in Croatia makes tourists pay huge fines for breaking the rules immediately, or they go to jail.
Okay. So cities are not putting up with this bad behavior. So if you put up with something, it means, like you said, to tolerate, to endure.
To tolerate, to endure, maybe look the other way. Someone's doing something bad.
It.
Yeah, kind of ignore it. Someone's doing something bad, but you're going to pretend like you didn't see it.
Yeah.
So to put up with is to just be quiet and go on.
Yeah.
Even if something bad is being done to you.
Right.
But we do often say, I won't put up with it.
In the negative, yeah.
Right. I can't put up with it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
참다 더 이상 못 참겠다. You know, so that's why it's usually used in the negative.
Yes.
Because you have been putting up with it. Now I can't do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So here, they are making tourists pay huge fines. Now, F-I-N-E, or with an S, a fine is?
It's an amount of money that you're paying as a penalty for something you've done wrong.
Right.
Right? A fine. So maybe you threw trash on the street and the policeman sees you. You may get a fine.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
It's the amount of money you have to pay. So usually there are fines for being late. Like, you know, like a library fine.
Yeah.
You don't return your book soon enough.
I'll tell you something.
What?
I've gotten several parking fines.
Parked in the wrong place?
Yeah, because there are cameras everywhere. I don't know how many times I've paid these fines.
Yeah.
I recently got one.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, in Ilsan. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah, it is true. It is one way of getting people to do the right thing, follow the rules.
Yeah.
In this case, Croatia seems pretty strict with their fines.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and listen to that dialogue one more time.
Look, this one European city canceled its airport's contract with a discount airline.
It seems to be a turning point for some cities. They're doing what they can to avoid repeating the 2024 tourist season.
I heard it was referred to as the summer of tourists behaving badly.
A lot of cities won't put up with it anymore. One city in Croatia makes tourists pay huge fines for breaking the rules immediately, or they go to jail.
Maybe we should go there next year.
Yeah, there might be fewer bad tourists.
It's time for Power Note. We're on pages 160 and 161. A turning point is when there's a time when things change.
Yes.
And like you mentioned, it's from maybe it was doing poorly or badly, and it changed for the better. But it could be the other way around, too.
Right. I often use this myself, going from negative to positive.
Yeah.
But I think it is possible to go positive to negative with this.
Okay, let's see how we can use this expression. When was the turning point of the war?
Some people say it was the D-Day invasion, but I think it was earlier.
Right. And usually when there are wars and then one side wins, historians often analyze, like, what was the turning point? What was it that changed the direction of this war?
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Winning this game was the turning point for the team. Now, what does this mean?
So this team might be on what's called a losing streak, right?
Yes.
Every single game they're losing, and they can't, it's like they're
stuck.
They're stuck, right? But they have one game that they win, and that kind of breaks it.
Right.
And so now they can be successful in their season. So it's the turning point. That one game kind of signifies, oh, we're going in a different direction now.
Okay, very good. Okay, let us move on to the next expression, refer to someone or something as, which means it's a different name.
Yeah.
You're just simply giving them another name.
Yes.
Okay. Why do people refer to the Dalton account as the impossible project?
Because the CEO of Dalton Incorporated is never satisfied.
Yeah. So you're working at a company, you have a client, and they are Dalton Company, for example.
Right.
But everybody else says, oh, the impossible project. It's like another name for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The name everyone calls them.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, it's easier.
They're difficult.
Yeah.
Or maybe that client is very, very difficult. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's why it's the impossible project. Okay. Should I refer to you during the interview as Professor Gonzalez or Dr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Oh.
This is a common way of using this. When you want to ask what someone's title is, are they Mr., Mrs., Ms., Doctor, Professor? Those extra little things you put in front of someone's name. And I also would say in a Korean context, I often want to know how I refer, what I refer to a person as.
Right. Absolutely. All the time, because we don't call people by their names.
Right.
It's just so many names.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what should I refer to you as? Some people, maybe, because I'm American, they want to use an English name with me.
Right.
They prefer I use their English name instead of their Korean name, for example.
Right.
So that type of question, what should I refer to you as, is a great way of finding the name or the title they would prefer.
And sometimes, if you feel uncomfortable asking, then you kind of ask the person next to you. You know, like, how do I address him?
Yeah, right.
Okay. So here's the thing. One thing is that my landlord, sometimes I don't know what to refer to him as. It's tricky because it's hard to say, like, Mr. Kim, because he's obviously not American. He's Korean.
Right.
So those little things, I found out eventually. But initially I was like, well, how do I address him?
It's so true.
Yeah. So I think this is a very common question. And I think Korean people, too, in the business world especially, would find this very useful.
I agree.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, just call me Bob. And then it's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Can I really refer to you as Bob? Right. You can double check. Okay. Now, if you put up with someone or something, it means to tolerate someone or something, and usually something that is unpleasant.
Right.
Okay.
It's often something bad. It's often something you feel is unfair.
Yes.
Like, you feel like maybe you have the right to say something, but you're holding it in.
Yeah.
Right? So we'll look at some of the examples.
All right. I wish Mr. Johnson would treat me with more respect.
I don't understand why you've put up with it for so long.
Okay.
So here, it's something like, generally speaking, everyone should be given respect. And when someone doesn't give you respect, when they're disrespectful,
right.
kind of, you could probably say something, but you don't. You're putting up with it. You're just being quiet. You're just trying to get past it. That's putting up with it.
Right, right.
But when you say, I can't put up with it anymore.
And this is a very tricky thing because, there are many things in our lives, that we're just not happy about, and you have to put up with it. But and you can't say anything or else you might lose your job. You might lose a very important relationship. So it's very tricky, isn't it?
It very is. Yes, it is.
I can't put up with these loud neighbors any longer.
Oh, haven't we all had those neighbors?
Oh, yeah.
They're kong, 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 kong.
Yeah.
They're constantly banging or dragging chairs or doing something upstairs or beside. And you have to put up with it a little bit.
Sure.
Because you don't want to always be fighting with your neighbors.
True.
But sometimes it reaches a limit.
Sometimes you got to let them know.
Yeah.
I've had that too. I've called the 관리 사무실 and I said, can you look into this? I put up with it, but I couldn't sleep.
Right.
Right? Okay. All right. Power pattern. They're doing what they can, or we're doing what we can, which means we are doing all the things that we need to do and doing our best to solve this problem or what have you.
Yeah, we're doing all options we can think of, right?
They're doing what they can to save the business.
They're doing what they can to make the new student feel welcome.
Right.
So they're probably doing several different things.
Several different things,
right?
Exactly. Okay, our power vocab is fine. And in this case, it means kind of like, it's 벌금.
Yeah.
It's a little minor monetary punishment for something that you did wrong.
Yeah, you broke a rule or a law, and now you have to pay for it.
That's right. All right, very good. So we're wrapping up Power English for 2024. Thank you so much for studying with us, truly.
Yes.
And hopefully your year was okay?
Yes.
Okay.
We hope that everyone has a great end of the year as we go into 2025. And, thank you.
Okay.
So much.
See you next year. Bye-bye.